Birmingham Sports
with Ben Ellis.
This is BHBN Radio.
It is the Monday after from Birmingham Sport, BHBN Radio. It's our weekly roundup of the action that we've been covering for you across the wards. I'm Ben Ellis. I'm back in the chair this week after sterling work from Kim Smith looking after things last week while I was on my hollybobs. And what a week to come back to. There's no doubt about it. We're going to go through everything that's happened over the course of the weekend and the breaking news on Sunday as well very shortly. I want to introduce you to the panel. First of all, we mentioned her just a moment ago in the hot seat last week. Fan of Birmingham City, it is Kim Smith. How are you doing, Kim?
I'm okay, thanks. Just waiting for all the fireworks to start going off.
Literally, that's both a metaphor and the reality of the date. But there we are.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, Jonathan Wimbush was at the Hawthorns on Saturday. There's some. I've just looked into this, John, and we'll go into it in more detail.
Yes,
it's still 0-0 even now.
Yeah, I think if we had played that game right up until the end of the season, it'd still be goalless. So, yeah.
Well, we'll get to that in just a moment. And somebody who no doubt is going to spend as much time as I will allow to do some gloating on the show today. It is Ed Mackay. He was at Blues on Saturday and a fan of Liverpool as well. How are you doing, Ed?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
And how are you, Ben?
I'm fine, absolutely fine. Not a problem. I'm glad to be back. Yes, refreshed after a good week off and everything tickety-boo. Not the case, of course, at Molineux, because after another defeat over the course of the weekend, 3-0 at Fulham this time, Vitor Pereira has been relieved of his duties as the head coach of Wolverhampton Wanderers, and the Wolves board are on the lookout once again. Now, there's a few things to say about this. Is that it's been reported that the Wolves board have been a little smarter this time than they may have perceived to have been in the past, in that there is a clause in this current contract for Wolverhampton Wanderers that Vitor Pereira signed a little while ago, that they won't have to pay out the full 3 years, which, somebody was on the ball as far as that one is concerned. But Ed, I'm going to come to you first. As far as this one is concerned, it couldn't go anywhere else, could it? The way things were going.
Absolutely not. We discussed it, didn't we, last week? And actually during the international break, I said to Phil, he pushed back on that. He said, "I don't think Pereira's going anywhere. He signed a new contract." But I'd actually heard ex-pros talking about this and saying when somebody's under pressure and they're offered a new contract, often it's so they can put a more realistic compensation package together for if they do fire somebody. And I think that's exactly what they did. But you're right, it was only going one way. I mean, he changed the team for the cup game midweek, and we did say they played a lot better in the second half when they were actually attacking and there was more players in the opposition half. And I said, however, that won't be the case on Saturday because he'll revert back to type, and that's exactly what he did. Muller Wolf, he scored 2 goals against Chelsea and then he drops him. I mean, I think he'd lost the rhythm of what his best 11 was, and as you say, the results were just getting progressively worse. 2 points from 10 games. He had to go.
Yeah, and you look at the goals, John, that they conceded at Fulham on Saturday. I mean, the first one is Sunday morning standard, really, as far as the defending is concerned. You're 1-0 down, you're up against it at a team, and we're going to come on to this a bit later on, which is a bit of a theme. A team that desperately needed a result in Fulham. But if you take the bottom 3-4 teams out of it, Fulham are in as bad a form as anybody in the Premier League over the last 4 or 5 games. Now, Fulham needed this result, and Walsh just gifted it to them. And then there was the red card, for which there was no other option than a red card for Aguado, and the writing had to be on the wall, John.
Yeah, it absolutely did. And I agree with everything that Ed said just then about, because both myself and Ed was at the Wolves-Chelsea game in midweek, 11 changes. And we said, second half of that game, this is the 11 that needs to be playing. And we knew straight away it was just going to revert back to Sam Johnston, to Agbadu, to Strand Larson. And yeah, it was a case of you did well in the in midweek. Okay, you lost the game, but you scored 3 goals. And honestly, I've watched highlights of the Fulham Wolverhampton Wanderers game, and I just couldn't see where the goals were coming from with that starting 11 that started at Craven Cottage. Mascara, he ran into the box like a bat out of hell, as the song goes, and it ended up cannoning off him, and that was pretty much game done once Mascara scored the own goal, and I think that was the final nail in the coffin for Vita Pereira.
I didn't know that Meatloaf Classic was about football. It's just,
Well,
you
that,
learn
that's
things
what the
doing this show.
that's what the song says. So yeah.
What, like a bat out of hell, I'll
Like-
be gone when
like-
the morning
like
comes
was-
and Fulham score from an own goal. No, I don't think that
Well,
line is
yeah,
in there, actually.
That's the
John.
abridged version.
Well,
The
That's
abridged version. Well, it's a 10-minute song anyway, so something had to be cut out of it.
Well, he would have done it. He would have done anything for 3
Yeah.
points, but
Yeah.
he wouldn't change his team.
Yes, that's another good. Yes, let's try and squeeze as many Meatloaf references as we possibly can, as far as that is concerned. Kim, the speculation is going now as to who takes over. 2 names that are in the frame. One is Brendan Rodgers, and if any Wolves fan, and I'm quite happily going to be proved wrong. If Brendan Rodgers walks into Molineux, I will be absolutely shocked, because and I don't care if anybody has a go at me for this, he hasn't got the stomach to be manager of a team that's bottom of the Premier League. Look at the way he walked out on Leicester 3 seasons ago. He's effectively responsible for that relegation. Now he gets to Celtic, where it's on a plate for you at Celtic, really, and he can't really get his own way there. He just walks away. Toxic, and it's already a toxic environment. Kim, another name in the frame is the potential return of Gary O'Neill. Could you see that happening?
Well, funnily enough, when I was looking on social media earlier, Gary O'Neill's name popped up. And it's the sort of thing where it's so mad it might happen. The guy who was sacked just over a year ago ends up going back again. And knowing what Wolves are like, I mean, they're rapidly turning into basket case. So you just wouldn't be surprised. But whether Gary O'Neill can get a tune out of that lot, I have no idea.
Well, this is where Vita Pereira does have to take some responsibility, because they changed the structure within the club during the summer, where he actually did take final responsibility for transfers at Wolverhampton Wanderers. It used to be under a big director of football kind of system that lots of clubs operate now, but it was decided it was going to be given to Vita Pereira and his associates, who were going to have the final say. And they brought players in who weren't good enough, and it's as simple as that. And if the players aren't good enough, Ed, does it matter who the manager is?
Well, it doesn't really, because they look like a championship squad, don't they? They've got huge gaps from where they failed to recruit anyway, because they didn't replace their talented players. And then, as you rightly said, I heard that today actually, that they were offered players that Pereira turned down. I mean, Wilson from Liverpool's gone to Fulham, funnily enough. He was offered him, and he didn't want him. And the players they bought, they're not good enough. You're right. It doesn't really matter who comes in. But what I will say as somebody who's had Brendan Rodgers as their manager, he is not the man for this job. He's not a man to get you out of trouble. He's an egomaniac. And I'm telling you, I've heard some bad stories from players about the kind of nonsense he comes out with, and he's not one to get it down in the trenches and put up with an owner with silly expectations. This is not the job for him.
And if it isn't to be Gary O'Neill, John, it would ideally be somebody who is a dead ringer for Gary O'Neill.
Yeah, I've been reading social media as well, and even Sam Allardyce's name has come up, and a bit of a relegation specialist, but it's hit and miss with him. I know from past experience as well, when Allardyce was in charge of West Brom trying to keep them up. But the unwanted record for Wolves is that they failed to win in the first 10 Premier League games for the second season running. So
Yeah.
Derby 2008, someone might be after your title.
Yeah.
That is the concern. I mean,
Yeah.
I said this a few weeks ago. It's mirroring almost perfectly the season that Villa went down in 15-16. It really is. You can see it. It's coming.
When I predicted that Wolves would be in trouble and would be getting rid of Pereira a few weeks ago, my actual prediction was, don't be surprised if Sean Dyche is in there by Christmas. But of course, with Big Ange, going for a Burton at Forest, they've
Yeah.
gone early on him. So yeah, it's bare, isn't it? The cupboard's bare, as they say.
You know,
Yeah.
why don't they do that? Just go for Big Ange and just go kamikaze
Yeah.
for the next
They have
next 7
not got
months.
the players to attack.
Right, just have a go, and I don't think anybody complains too much if and when they go down, as far as that's concerned. But they go to Chelsea on Saturday night. Obviously, having just played it, it'll be a different Chelsea from the Carabao Cup in midweek, of course. But Chelsea got that big result at Tottenham on Saturday night, so they will be up against it. There's no doubt about that. And whoever does take the hot seat at Molineux, we certainly do wish them well. The Monday after, from Birmingham Sports on BHBM Radio, sticking with the Premier League and the events at Anfield. We'll talk about them next.
BHBN Radio has been going since 1952. It is run entirely by volunteers, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Right now, BHBN needs friends like you to ensure it can broadcast to hospitals, care homes, and into the community for many more years to come. You can help by donating through our Just GoFundMe account. It's easy. Simply go to our website, bhbn.net, scan our GoFundMe QR code, and in a few clicks, you can help us out. If you're a taxpayer, you can give 25% more through gift aid at no extra cost to you.
BHBN Radio.
It's the Monday after on Birmingham Sport, BHBM Radio, and just before we went to the break there, and I said we were going to have a look at what happened at Anfield. Somebody's eyebrows raised like they were just somebody on the screen. But Dr. Villa will see you now is what we predicted on a different show on Thursday. You know what? I'm not that upset about it. I really I'm not, because there is a bit of frustration in there. There is when you lose any game, of course, but I just think for taking one or two chances, that first 25, 30 minutes could have been a different story. Could have, would have, should have. Last words of a fool. I get all of that, but once Emi Martinez makes that horrendous mistake and presented it to Salah, game over, Ed.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if your worst crisis means that a win puts you back in third, then I'm surprised there was so much noise around everything that was going on at Liverpool. But at the same time, did anybody really truly think that with all the talent in Liverpool's team, they were just going to carry on losing forever? If the tables were going to turn. The thing is, Arne Slot has come under a lot of criticism for his remarks about the way teams are playing against Liverpool. Now, I don't think he's having a go at the opposition team's style. I think it's frustration because he's saying, I keep telling my teams this is what they're going to do, and then we go 1-0 behind. Now, the difference here is that Villa are a footballing side, and they did play the game, and it allowed Liverpool to actually play their pressing game and put them under pressure. My one thing, that the point I wanted to make to you is, and I don't know what your feelings are on Emi Martinez, but I heard a lot of talk about him being the best keeper in the world from some Villa fans, and I never bought into that. I think he bought into it, and I think that was one of the things last night. He's a bit too nonchalant when you play out from the back, and of course, if you're going to hand it to the player who now is the record goal involvement player in the history of the Premier League, Salah's going to score that. So I think that everything that has been going wrong for Liverpool, because Liverpool haven't been terrible in a lot of those games. They haven't defended well. But I mean, if we take our chances against Man United, it could have been 5-2. You know what I mean? Like as opposed to 2-1. So we've been creating lots of chances, but last night things went for us as opposed to going against us. You I thought Villa had a really good spell for that opening 20 minutes, and Liverpool looked like a nervous team who were in bad form, but they grew into the game. And I think in the end, they did look way more in control. And I thought Gravenberch's goal was good as well. The chances that the one thing I will say is Morgan Rogers is world class. That
Well,
he
he's
is
getting back
proper.
to that level that we were not seeing at the start of the season. There's no doubt about that, and that's obviously very encouraging. What I mean by I'm saying I'm not overly upset about what happened on Saturday night. That isn't true because the fan in you don't like to lose any game, but the, we've been talking for a few weeks now about this run of four fixtures for Villa. It was Spurs, Man City, Liverpool. Next week it's Bournemouth. There's a couple of Europa League games sprinkled in there as well. That was a really difficult run. If by the time we got to the end of that Bournemouth game next week, and you said to me, "You've got 6 points from this run of games," I'd have bit your hand off for that. They've already got six, and they're still to play Bournemouth at home where they're strong. So your season isn't defined by what happens at Anfield. If you're outside of some people call it the cabal, but if you're outside of that of that, Liverpool away isn't the key fixture. Do you know what I mean? It's the teams you're
Yeah, I
competing
agree.
with in and around you, particularly when you're playing at home,
Yeah.
where you've got to get the results that are going to define ultimately where you're going to finish, and,
Well,
and that's
well,
fine.
and a game that's indicative of that is the team that you would say is on the periphery of that so-called cabal it would be like Spurs. And 2 weeks ago, you went to Spurs, and I'll be honest, I was there, and you were dreadful, but you took your chances and you got 3 points off them. So, and again, Morgan Rogers cuts inside, smashed it in the top corner. So, you know, you're there or thereabouts, like you say. Anfield, we you could hear that crowd were not going to let Liverpool lose last night. They had to
No,
win.
no, there's no doubt about it. But as I say, if one of those early chances
Yeah,
would have been taken, who knows? But Emi Martinez, you go back to that one. Jonathan Wimbush, he was quoted as saying afterwards, "I don't win and lose. I win and I learn," is what he said. Well, I'm sorry. This playing out from the back happens too much for you to learn. So just especially in a time when, and we'll get onto this when we're talking about the championship a bit later, especially when teams are now going more direct this season, and that is obviously dividing opinion. Just get the ball forward, especially if Liverpool are going to start pressing hard up the pitch, which they didn't do for those first 20 minutes. But I agree with Ed. From about the 25, 30-minute mark, they started to grow into it and started to realise Villa are taking a little bit too long at the back in terms of their distribution, and we're going to jump on them. And yeah, just get it forward. Even if it comes back at you, just get it forward.
Yeah, I'm with you about all this playing out from the back nonsense, and that's where most errors leading to goals occur, not just in the Premier League, but in the lower leagues as well in this country. But he practically gift wrapped Salah's 250th Liverpool goal. He might as well have just put the ball in a package and put a bow on it and said, "Here you go, Mo.
And
Here's
do
your
you know
goal
what's
for."
and do you know what's irritating about that as well?
Go on.
45 seconds before they got away with the offside goal.
Yeah.
That was the moment, and it was marginal, but it was the right call. Okay, lads, use our brains now. It's 43,
switch
44
on.
minutes. We get to
Yeah.
half time. We're still 0-0. We're still in this. Do you know what I mean? And
Absolutely
that
right.
and that's annoying. That's
Yeah.
frustrating.
And
But yes, John.
go on. I was going to say, and another thing with Emi Martinez is, people play on the fact that he's a World Cup winner, but he was in a very good Argentinian team in that tournament when they won the World Cup, and it had like Lionel Messi and McAllister, of course, from Liverpool in the same squad. So I don't really want to compare, like, I don't want to taint Emi Martinez's playing record, but stating the facts, if your argument is, oh, well, he's a World Cup winner, so he's automatically good, well, just watch that game against Liverpool.
If Emi Martinez was legitimately the best goalkeeper in the world, he would have been playing for Real Madrid 2 or 3 years ago.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
He wouldn't still be at Villa,
No,
and that is not a
you have
slant
to
on
be
Villa.
you have to be honest about that, right? And it's
He's
a
not as
great
good as he
narrative.
thinks he is.
It's a great narrative, and it's enjoyable. Emi Martinez, the world's number one. I mean, ask Kylian Mbappe who he thinks the best goalkeeper in the world is. That's that could be a different story altogether. But Kim, moving on as far as Villa are concerned, it's Maccabi Tel Aviv. That controversial game coming in midweek on Thursday. Now, despite all the fury around that, it's nothing to do with Villa. The rules that have been set out about attendance. So Villa have just got to keep that to football, haven't they? As far as matters on the pitch.
Yeah, I think so. And you would really expect Villa to get a result out of this on Thursday. But yeah, all the sort of behind the scenes hoopla has sort of removed the fact that it's actually a football match going on. Which obviously is a major distraction outside. I'm sure it won't distract the players, but it's been a major distraction, in all the publicity around it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And then 2 o'clock next Sunday, it is Bournemouth at Villa Park. I think that'll be a cracker of a game, to be honest with you. And I'm going to be there, and that's where this show is coming from at full time next Sunday, which will be absolutely wonderful. The Monday after, from Birmingham Sport, BHBN Radio, we're going to be looking at the Championship next.
BHBN Radio has been going since 1952. It is run entirely by volunteers, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Right now, BHBN needs friends like you to ensure it can broadcast to hospitals, care homes, and into the community for many more years to come. You can help by donating through our Just GoFundMe account. It's easy. Simply go to our website, bhbn.net, scan our GoFundMe QR code, and in a few clicks, you can help us out. If you're a taxpayer, you can give 25% more through gift aid at no extra cost to you.
BHBN Radio.
The Monday after, from Birmingham Sport, BHBN Radio. What's the word? Sod's law, Kim. You don't go to St Andrews. You don't get to St Andrews. They score 4.
Yeah, it's all Ed's fault.
Yeah, it's Ed's fault. Ed was there. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, I mean, really good game. It sounded like the atmosphere was tremendous. Blues could have had more than 4. Obviously there was the missed penalty. Kyogo had one called offside again. And Portsmouth just didn't have anything to reply with. And also the other thing about Blues is that a lot of us had been moaning about the set pieces, but actually yesterday the set pieces were really good.
They were, and 3 of the 4 goals was from set pieces. Is anybody else fed up of this nationally? This whole the way the game's going. Oh, it's all set piece. It's about winning. It's about scoring goals.
Yeah.
Right. And if that's what you are most adept at doing, nobody's talking about, right. People are talking about football's gone, oh, it's all Pulis ball now. It's all Allardyce ball now. Yeah. No, it's not. Yeah. It really isn't. Yeah.
I think people have been playing too much FIFA, because if you think that putting a ball on a sixpence is easy, it ain't.
And if absolutely. Yes, couldn't agree more. No, just dance with what brought you. If that's a weapon you've got, right. I had a problem when Stoke first got up to the Premier League under Tony Pulis, in that I didn't mind the whole Rory Delap. Yeah, Liam's the son, isn't it? Rory's the dad. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. The whole Rory Delap long throw. Okay, that's a usable weapon. But when you are deliberately putting gaps in the advertising hoardings around the Bet365 to give him a run up, that's cheating, as far as I'm concerned. right? And they deliberately narrowed the width of the pitch. Now the pitch is supposed to be to FIFA standards. They deliberately narrowed the pitch, right? That's cheating.
It was regulation. You can change the pitch within certain dimensions, but I agree with you. It went too far.
But people are going on now like that's what's happening now, and it's not. It really is.
No.
And in fact, if somebody is trying a long throw in, I've seen some dreadful attempts at some long throws this season where
Yeah.
it's the big trend, and some a fullback will wipe the ball with his shirt and he'll throw it, and it will just about get to the edge of the box.
Yeah.
Like somebody's thrown a frisbee. Right. It's just
The difference. Yeah, the difference for me between what Tony Pulis used to do and what's happening now is Tony Pulis recognised that he had a weapon and he knew he was one of the underdogs, so he utilised it very efficiently. The difference is now this is analysis based, this is data driven. So they've seen that there's an opportunity there, and they try to do everything. I mean, people are calling Arsenal. Now, does anybody think when they watch Saka that he's not a silky footballer? Absolute rubbish. But if you've got somebody who can also launch it into the box, why wouldn't you take advantage of that? And also, when you see a team as good as Liverpool, the champions, totally susceptible to this, go a goal down to Brentford within 60 seconds.
Yeah.
What are they supposed to do? Not use that. Of course they're going to.
And the power,
It's
the
a
power of
different era.
the power of reputation as well. You know, Sam Allardyce is put in that bracket, right? In his Bolton team, you had JJ Okocha, you had Yuri Djorkaeff, right? You had proper footballers in that team who did turn it on. Now, where I would give Tony Pulis a pass in that first season for Stoke, I know they said they annoyed me. That first season, you do what you have to do to stay in the Premier League in that first season, and then build from. It was Pulis' reluctance to build on that. It was like, right, this is what we're doing every year, and then it became a bit tiresome. But bringing this down to the Championship, so 3 of the 4 goals were from set pieces. But we said in our other show for another station that we did at the weekend, Kim, that Chris Davies was looking for both result and performance, and he definitely got that.
Yeah, definitely. It was much improved. I mean, when I went down to Ashton Gate last week, although Blues had lots of possession, they didn't look like doing anything with it, but they certainly did something with it yesterday, and hopefully they'll still be in that mode to play against Millwall on Tuesday.
Was that an alcoholic drink you were drinking there, Mr. Mackay?
No,
That looked like a pint
actually,
glass. I'm going to say.
no, it's actually, sadly, it's a Barocca. I've got a bit of a cold.
Oh my God, that's quite a lot of it there. What kind of dosage is that? We keep this going.
It's just a
We keep this
plastic
going a
cup.
few more minutes, and then let's ask Ed some serious questions and see where his head is.
Well, what I was going to say is in reply to the point you've made about set pieces and what Kim was saying about the way Chris Davies has replied to what his performances was from his team last week. In his post-match press conference, he was asked about the set pieces, and he said, "Yeah, we've practiced it all week. It hasn't been good enough. We've identified it. We practiced it all week, and I mean, I even knew what they were going to do from the free kick. As soon as Cochran stepped up, I said, oh, this is going on Clara's head." You could just tell because it's the only place he could have put it with his left foot, and it was. And interestingly, when the Portsmouth manager came in, he was questioned about it, and he said, you conceded a few goals in one game from set pieces. Is this a problem? He goes, yeah. And he goes, is it an ongoing problem? And he's like, yeah. And he was like, oh, is it something that you need to work on? He's like, yeah. He said, this is our worst performance of the season. And he already knew trying to deal with set pieces was a problem for him. And so if he'd identified it in his own team, you can be sure the opposition's going to have identified
Yeah.
it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it was something that
Absolutely, yeah.
but I will say, Chris Davies it wasn't just the goals and the performance. His in-game management was perfect because they did let Portsmouth have the ball for 20 minutes at the end of the first half, and they were completely toothless. And they were happy to right, let's just, settle things down, keep momentum, get to half time, and we'll go again. And they did. They came straight back out and scored. I mean, it can go the other way. If you miss an early penalty,
Yeah.
everyone can feel sorry for themselves, can't they? And it can go
That's
the other
right.
way, but they didn't. They kept on it. So I
Yeah.
was impressed with them
Two
yesterday,
tough
actually,
matches,
really.
Kim. Obviously, midweek, Millwall, who in general have been better on the road this season than they have at home, except when they played West Brom, of course. But we'll get to that in just a moment. And then Middlesbrough away, who have stuttered a bit since their early promise at the start of the season. But yeah, you want to add to the points that you picked up on Saturday, but two tough games ahead.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Millwall in the playoff places, as you say, Middlesbrough have stuttered a bit, but historically they're a team that we really don't do well against. So, if I'm honest, I'll be really surprised if we get something at the Riverside next Saturday.
Okay, well, we'll have to wait and see. There's no doubt about that. We've left it till last because there isn't that much to say, Jonathan Wimbush. Quite frankly, I made a decision on Saturday lunchtime that, well, I got back from holiday on Friday and my fridge was empty, and I thought, well, we need to go shopping, and I might just skip the West Brom game while I go and do it. And yeah, it looks like I got that one right, John.
Yeah, to be fair, you didn't miss much. I mean, Sheffield Wednesday, all the talk, of course, had been about their off-field stuff, which we've already talked at length on this program. But it was very frustrating. It was a game that most West Brom fans probably felt like they should have won, especially dominating possession, having the better chances. Their best shot from Sheffield Wednesday was an easy save for Josh Griffiths in goal. A couple of good saves from Wednesday's goalkeeper, Ethan Horvath, kept a minute. But it was very frustrating to watch, to be honest. And, Alex Moat tried a few pot shots. Mikey Johnston tried his little signature cut on the inside, but his shot was off target. And yeah, even Nat Phillips, the defender, was trying to get into the fray and get on the scoring with a few corners that Albion had. But at the end of the day, the crowd were getting very agitated, especially in the second half, when it felt like a goal was coming. And yeah, it was just frustrating. And I think Sheffield Wednesday will be happier with the point than Albion. And there was quite a few boos at full time, given the result.
Do you read anything into the empty seats? I mean, are people now voting with their feet? Do they feel they're not getting value for money, or is it just sometimes you do have to just prioritize the games that you're gonna that you're gonna watch, and West Brom fans
Mm.
felt that this one wasn't for them.
Yeah, a few fans might have thought that this was probably a no-brainer. Given the fact the class of opposition. No offence to Sheffield Wednesday, but they are bottom of the table for a reason. They only had 6 points before going into administration, so we can't say that they're only bottom of the table just because of the administration issues that they've got. But I think there's a few games coming up, like Charlton away, Oxford at home, which are the next two games, and obviously the derbies against Coventry and Birmingham later this month, that people are probably more looking forward to than this one. But yeah, it was a bit of a weird one seeing all those empty seats at the Hawthorns. A little disappointing, in my opinion, but. Mate, I don't know if that kind of had a bit of a what's the word? If it was a psychological thing for the players, not seeing as many supporters, and that's why they were like trying to rush through stuff. A few misplaced passes from both teams, really, and yeah, it was just it was not how I envisioned spending my Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
We're short on time. Ed,
I would
what are
say
they
it's a
what are
strange.
they lacking, Ed? What are they lacking?
Well, this is what I was going to say. It's a strange logic to think, oh, I won't bother going to watch them play the bottom of the league because you would think that's where you're actually going to get some joy, where you might see some goals and stuff. But
Yeah.
the problem West Brom have got, they haven't got anybody to score any blooming goals. So that's where they probably thought I might as well knock it on the head because they need a goal scorer. I was actually pleased he left Tegabo out and gave Maja a start, but he looked just as toothless in the end. So I think they've got a problem with that. And my other um, criticism of West Brom, and I've said it on other shows we've done together, is that they only turn up for 45 minutes at a time. Each game, they never fight for 90 minutes. You thought for 90 minutes against Sheffield Wednesday, you would get 3 points.
Yeah,
But it's all the
only 20 minutes.
uh,
That's the thing.
well, exactly.
Yeah.
It's getting less than 45 now, and that's
And
that would
and
be
that
my worry.
inconsistency, well, that inconsistency travels further, doesn't it? It creates the trajectory you've got because you're getting consistency in the points you gain, and then subsequently your place in the league. Because even playoffs look a little bit out of touch at the moment, don't they?
They do at the moment, Kim, but very quickly. I mean, cut from the same cloth, effectively as Chris Davies, both on the coaching staff at Tottenham, similar kind of age, finding their feet as managers themselves. What does Ryan Mason have to do to get through this period? Is he going to learn from it, or is it just a case of he'll bury his head in the sand and try and get through it?
Well, I mean, he hasn't been in it as long as Chris Davis because obviously he's only had this
Yeah.
few games this season so far. You would hope he's going to use it as a learning experience, but obviously, if the fans start getting disgruntled, then it makes the board very edgy, doesn't it? So I hope they can sort of get themselves back on track soon. But Charlton away ain't going to be easy, I don't think.
No, not at all. So, as John mentioned, Charlton away on this round of midweek fixtures, and then Oxford at home on Saturday. That will be live across the wards on
Yes.
BHBN radio, and I'm assuming Villa against Bournemouth will on Sunday as well. So we've got a big weekend. You can listen back to all of our match highlights of the games that we cover and the reports that we do and all of that stuff. TikTok, we've launched that TikTok channel. It is bhbn.sport, and there's our YouTube channel as well where this show goes every Monday. And like we said, back across the wards from 2:00 on Saturday afternoon. For Kim Smith, Jonathan Wimbush, Ed Mackay, I'm Ben Ellis. This has been the Monday After.
Birmingham Sports
with Ben Ellis.
This is BHBN Radio.